Hello and welcome back to Bannerlord Modded, and there's been a lot going on. Oh yeah, there's been a huge amount going on. So basically what we now have to deal with is war on 3 different fronts, and this is not actually, it's not really something that I wanted to do, but my vassals are very war hungry, and so I'm kind of forced into it, unless I want to spend a huge amount of influence, of course, which is not something that I really want to do. Anyway, as you can see here, we have just declared war on the Southern Empire. I'll show you the diplomacy screen in just a moment. So basically this is the diplomacy screen right here. We have the Northern Empire. As you see, we actually have some significant combat strength increases just because I've actually been able to capture quite a few towns and indeed castles as well. But this is not really the big thing. The big thing is that a lot of our vassals are actually doing really well in terms of capturing enemies. You can see here we have 16 prisoners from the Northern Empire. We have 0 from the Southern Empire, of course, because we've not actually been fighting them at all. And then we have 22 prisoners from Sturgia, if you can believe it. That is absolutely amazing. Mr. Captain Falcon has been doing an amazing job. Absolutely amazing. He's really, really good. And that's the reason why I haven't called him. Oh, I did call him into my army. Oh well, never mind. I know I haven't called one of them into my army at the very least. I think Undgar. I decided not to call Undgar into my army. So basically this is what I've been doing. I have literally just been calling for an army, going into auto-resolves against enemies that have, you know, smaller armies, which most of the time they kind of do, you know, they kind of do have smaller armies. And then we basically just go and attempt to take stuff from them. And that's pretty much it. We just want to try to force them into a situation where they cannot possibly refuse any kind of peace agreement. For example, I literally have a peace agreement with the Aserai right now, which is actually positive for me. Yes, it is actually positive. Can you believe it? Because usually that is not a thing. Usually we are the ones that have to pay a significant amount of cash just to make anything happen. So this is also obviously what we're going to have to do here. We're going to have to do something here. I'm actually not entirely sure. I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use siege tower and battering rams, and we're just going to go for catapults as well. And that's how we're going to do this. This is a weird place to siege. This camera is offset really, really awkwardly. I'm not entirely sure what's going on with that. But anyway, let's just destroy all the enemy catapults that we can. And then we're just going to go straight on in. I'm not even going to bother destroying the walls right now because we already have the siege towers and the battering ram up and running. And we also have our own catapults. And the enemy has no catapults whatsoever. So we should be absolutely fine to do an amazing job here. So this is, as I say, this is the strategy that I've been utilizing for this campaign against all of our enemies. Because let's face it, there's a lot of them. We do have a lot of enemies right now. And I'm very much hoping that my catapults are actually going to be doing something, because they have actually proven themselves to be not that good. Like, yeah, sure, they do okay, you know, they do all right, but they are not something that is actually oh no, maybe some of them are actually doing something now. I mean, we got a lot of bowmen as well. Yeah, so here's the thing. Because obviously we were at war, I was actually at war against the Aserai for quite some time until we forced them into a peace agreement. And so obviously, as you might expect, I wasn't able to recruit any of the Aserai troops. So I have very few, or basically 0 Aserai troops on me at the moment. So in other words, in my army I have none of those. And so what I actually decided to do instead was go full out in terms of Crusade. Now the problem with that is that I now have a very, very big problem. And the big problem is the fact that I cannot go up this ladder because this is a bug. Yep. Are you... You know, Is this actually a bug, or is this just me being stupid? Because I'm thinking to myself this is a bug, because obviously these guys, they can't also be stupid, right? They are AI, so obviously they're just going to do what they're programmed to do, but I'm going to assume that either we are not allowed to go up there yet, or no. As you can see, I am actually able to go up this one, so I'm going to assume that the other one is bugged in some way or another. Hopefully they'll get unstuck or something like that at some point, and then we'll be able to do some wonderful things. Anyway, so yeah, as I was saying, we basically wanted to go all out on Crusade, but now we have a huge problem. As you might expect, the problem is war mounts. Yes, I know. You knew I was going to say that, didn't you? Yes, I think you did. Because let's face it, we've always had issues with war mounts. We're having war mount problems in almost every single series, which is actually really, really frustrating, to be honest. Actually, you know what? Never mind. Scratch that. I do not have war mount problems in Realm of Thrones. I don't have problems with them there, and you know why? Because the Dothraki, which is who we're currently playing with, their units do not require war mounts to level up, which is actually fantastic. That is a wonderful design decision by the modding team, and it basically makes it so that I don't have to run around and be frustrated with the lack of war mounts and the production of them. Because that is again, that's a frustrating game mechanic. It's not a case of it being, yeah, sure, okay, fine. It's realistic, you know, it's definitely realistic. But is it actually one of those things that you want to have to deal with in terms of gameplay? Because at the end of the day, this is indeed a game. It is not real life. So, you know, we kind of want something to be a bit more streamlined, a bit more fluid, a bit more forgiving in that way. You never really want to have a situation where you are taking, you know, realism and making that the #1 goal, unless it has also something to do with relatively decent gameplay mechanics and tenets, the rules of game design, if you will. And that's kind of the reason why I'm thinking to myself right now, yeah, you know what, I'd actually prefer not to deal with a huge amount of war mount problems, and I would prefer, as I mentioned in another series or this one or something, I would love to have it be a case of, you know, either, and someone actually made this suggestion as well in the comments, either you have some kind of solution that you yourself as the player can facilitate. And I'm obviously talking about, you know, maybe you have some villages, or maybe you have, you know, a town or something like that that has like a stable, or maybe you have some, you know, paddocks where horses can be bred. And then eventually over a you know, course of, you know, I don't know, a few weeks or something like that, you'll get a lump sum of 10 to 15 war mounts, or 20 or 25 or however many, it doesn't really matter. But generally, that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. I feel like that would be extremely beneficial to the overall gameplay feel. Because as it is right now, you can see what's happening. You see what's happening right here. You see all my level ups. Oh well, not these guys, obviously. But I'm talking about these guys. You see that? I literally have over what? I have 70 troops or something like that. 70 troops that need level ups, and I don't have any war mounts. And even if I did have war mounts, I'm not going to have 70 of them, am I? No. So it's basically like it's almost as if it's forcing me into a situation where I can't really utilize the troops that I want to use, if you know what I mean. And so instead, I'm now forced into using lower tier troops and or peasant trees. Obviously, here's the thing, yeah? As I said before, from a realistic perspective, you're probably not going to be having a large number of noble troops. I mean, you know, if you think about it from that kind of perspective, are you really... I mean, maybe you will. I don't know. Maybe you will in a real life situation. I don't know. Maybe you would. But I don't know. We've got to think about it from a gameplay perspective first and foremost, and then we have to think about how we can tie in realism to that whole deal. Because while I absolutely love the fact that there is that kind of interaction, don't get me wrong, I am someone that really enjoys playing games like DayZ. I actually really like DayZ because it's a lot better than it used to be, by the way. Yeah, I played it on the channel, actually, I think back in 2014 when it was still a mod. And let me tell you, back then, really hardcore, realistic experience. And, well, to some degree, that hasn't really changed, because obviously that's what they are trying to deliver. They're trying to deliver that kind of realism. But obviously, from a gameplay perspective, sometimes the realism gets in the way. But that's the whole point of the game, you know, that is literally the whole point of the game. Like, for example, if you get hit in the head, you're probably gonna die. And indeed, you are fighting zombies and so on and so forth some of the time. And, you know, again, you can get injured. And when you get injured, you're going to maybe have a chance to bleed. And then you're going to need a bandage. And if that wound gets infected, you're then going to need antiseptic and medicine and/or medicine. And when you get rained on, you're going to need to dry your clothes at a fire, and you can create the fire obviously with some flint or wood or sticks or whatever, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of different ways that you can die in that game, but that is the whole point. It is a survival simulation kind of experience. This, however, obviously is not really taking things that far. You know, it's very much more gameplay, as in gamified. It's very much gamified more than realism. And that's the reason why I say, well, why make the wall mounts like that? You don't have to make the wall mounts like that, right? I'm kind of wondering whether there is a mod available, but I'm kind of just now then feeling sorry for people that are playing on console, because obviously there are quite a few people that play the game on console, and I feel like the base game should have a decent sense of balance as well. You know, I don't think you should need a mod to, you know, quote unquote, save the game. You know, there is no, there's no real excuse for that, in my opinion at least. I don't think a game should need a mod to fundamentally improve the experience from every single level. Sure, I think mods are definitely there to customize your experience. They're definitely there to make it so that you have a bit more of an in-depth look at a certain aspect of the game. For example, the Forbury mod. The Forbury mod is absolutely amazing. I love that mod. I think that's probably one of my favorite mods ever, just because it allows you to play as a completely different character archetype. I love that. I think that's so amazing. That really just, it hits home so well, because it's just like, wow, you really have the ability to feel like you are a criminal element in the world of Calradia. And I think that's amazing. That is definitely one of those things that improves the gameplay experience fundamentally, but it is not something that is, shall we say, necessary to you doing the core gameplay loop. It's just an alternative, and I think that is where that's what I'm trying to impart to you right now. It is less a case of, you know, this thing being a requirement, and more about being a wonderful complement to the game otherwise, you see? And so that's kind of what I'm trying to say here, because in Forbury, sure, you know, in my opinion, I mean, I think this thing should literally be part of the base game. Absolutely. I think Forbury is definitely good enough to be included in the base game. But unfortunately, because of, you know, I don't know what, they just decided not to, not to include anything more in-depth than, attacking some people in the alleyways and so on and so forth. And you can obviously put some people in those alleyways to, well, not in the alleyways, but you can kind of take it over a little bit, I think. You can kind of take it over, and you can do some things with it, but that's it. That's all you can do. There's not really much more. You can't plan assassinations, you can't do anything more nefarious than just, capture a couple of alleyways and then get 2% of the prosperity of the town every day or something like that. And you can't invest any of that extra money or anything like that, like you can in the Forbury mod, because the Forbury mod does allow you to do those kinds of things, which is obviously absolutely amazing. It's super, super good, and I'd highly recommend it. But again, people that play on console can't experience the Forbury mod, which obviously is, that's just because it's console, you can't really do much about that. However, that's the reason why I say these fundamental aspects, I'm talking about fundamental aspects as in the war mount problem, that kind of needs to be resolved. I feel like there could be, there's an easy solution for it as well. The easy solution is literally just to smack a bunch of buildings into the game and make it so that you can produce more war mounts at specific locations in the game world. And this doesn't obviously have to be under your control. That's something to bear in mind. It doesn't have to be your village or your castle or your town or anything like that. The AI could also build these things. Maybe you could, I don't know, maybe you could make it so that they build them, as a default. You know what I mean? They build them just as a matter of course, because that's going to inherently be super, super strong. And this is exactly why I absolutely loathe enemy catapults. This is literally one of the worst things I have ever seen. Look at you see what is exactly happening here? Look at them. They are literally just destroying my catapults every single time. Thankfully, I've got some trebuchets out there now, so they can tank the damage. But I don't know. I don't know why the catapults are like this. They are so annoying to fight. Anyway, as I say, a building or something that you can make as an improvement or something like that in the base game would be amazing. That would be one of the best improvements that I could think of. Maybe they're working on it. I don't know. I mean, maybe there's another patch in the works or something like that, and maybe they're going to come out with that. I don't know. I obviously don't have any insider information or anything like that, but I think that would be amazing. That would be super, super welcome to have something like that, because that is, I think that's probably the, I mean, obviously apart from the other things, like for example, not being able to scale the siege tower's ladder, or, anything like that, everything else is kind of minor. Like obviously for me personally, I would like to see, better perks, but that is very much a case of, that's just a wish list kind of deal, that's literally just a wish list kind of thing, rather than an actual, major problem, because I don't think it's a major problem. The perks are good enough, they are good enough. They are not terribly exciting most of the time, but there are some gems in there. There are definite diamonds in the rough, as it were. But obviously, from a more major problem perspective, I think the war mount thing definitely needs to be fixed in some way or another. And even if that means, I mean, obviously my solution was to make it just super simple and just make it so that war mounts are not required to level up these troops, but they could just reduce the cost. But how easy money is to come by, I'm not sure whether that's a particularly good idea. I feel like maybe the better solution would be to make it so that you do need to build some kind of improvement, or the village itself needs to build the improvement so that you can actually get more war mounts available in that particular location. Because that well, that keeps the fundamental core of what they were attempting to do initially, which is obviously to have the war mount be a resource that is required. Because obviously, let's face it, you know, they obviously had that vision in mind, and it still maintains that vision, but you're just then going to have something else that needs to be built before you can take full advantage of those troops. And I think that's actually a pretty cool idea. So, yeah, I would love that. I think that would be super, super nice. But anyway, yeah, apart from all of the discussion based on my mechanics based on the mechanics of the game, well, there's not much else to talk about apart from that, is there? I mean, you can see exactly what we're doing on the screen right now. We're just taking stuff. We're just taking stuff. I'm just wading in here with my wonderful polearm and doing an amazing amount of damage, actually. Pretty nice. And the only thing that we can really do is I'm actually hoping to force the Sturgians into some kind of peace agreement. I would actually very much like that, because then we can actually focus on others, like the Southern Empire and so on and so forth. And if we can actually do that, then we will be in a really good position, because then we're actually going to be starting to make money rather than just hemorrhaging money all the time. Because that seems to be what we're usually doing, but not so much anymore, actually, surprisingly enough. Because we are indeed forcing people into other situations, which is obviously perfect. Okay, so as you can see, Sibir actually still has 20,000 gold in there, because me being stupid, I decided that I was going to put a huge amount of money in there, when that actually doesn't make any sense. Because why would I put money in a place that has every single thing upgraded? That doesn't actually help in any way, which is well, quite funny anyway. But yeah, that's not great. Anyway, let's just take a quick look at the diplomacy screen here. Okay, so as you can see, if we make peace with the Northern Empire right now, we're going to be receiving 2,600. And if we make peace with the Southern Empire, they only have one town? Are you joking? Oh, they only have Vostrum? Oh, that's hilarious. Can my guys actually go and attack that? Oh, they're not going to do that, are they? Oh, that would be so, so good. Okay, well, the owner of Sibir is probably going to be this guy, even though he's nowhere to be seen. But basically, I didn't want this guy to join my army because he has relatively low relation. And whenever I show mercy, he goes down in relation. So that's the reason why I'm kind of trying to keep him out of there. And otherwise, we're just going to do some damage. Hello there. Oh, Grand Prince Yorick. He's actually the leader of the Sturgians. Okay, well, we're just going to auto-resolve against him, and we can take one of them prisoner. I have literally just been continuing to execute, but what's quite funny about the executions is that they haven't actually been that useful. And, you know, you may be thinking, what? They're not useful? You know, because I generally tend to say that executions are basically one of the only ways that you can be certain that a particular vassal is not going to pose a threat any further, you know. Otherwise, you know, you're going to have to take them prisoner and just keep them in your prisoner's hold or something like that. But the thing is, every single time I call for an army, there's a whole bunch of these guys that are literally taking them prisoner, and I just can't be bothered to talk to them and get their prisoners over to me and so on and so forth. There's just way too much micromanagement involved in that, so I just let them do whatever they want to do at the time, and then we go on from there, and that's absolutely fine. But it is actually providing us with a semblance of balance, because basically, instead of me just having the overall, you know, dominion over the, you know, the lives of the enemy forces and the enemy vassals, I have to be a little bit more, you know, I have to hold myself back a little bit more rather than having the enemy literally just get chopped every single time, you know. It is actually quite useful. So I like that a great deal, because it actually does provide us with a semblance of balance rather than us literally just killing everything that we can in sight. So that's quite cool. Otherwise, my trebuchets are about to be destroyed, which is not exactly great. Yeah, the enemy does tend to fight back relatively well, surprisingly enough so. And, wow, okay, yeah, they're actually making things very uncomfortable for me right here. Making peace with the Northern Empire. Alright, sure, I don't know how much they're going to be giving us. I can only hope that they're going to be giving us a significant amount. But yeah, basically if I decide to, shall we say, disagree with any of my forces, with any of my vassals, well, you can best bet that's not actually going to end very well for me. Are you serious right now that my trebuchets are literally just getting destroyed over and over again? This literally has to be one of the worst things in the world. One of the worst feelings in the world, actually, is to have your trebuchets destroyed by catapults. That is so incredibly annoying. And then, what's even worse is not realizing that the enemy still has a catapult on the battlements. And, lo and behold, you go in and you think, oh, I've destroyed all their catapults. I'm going to be very pleased about this. And then all of a sudden, you see the rocks flying from the battlements towards your face. And then all of a sudden, it's lights out. Yeah. That happened to me actually in a previous siege. And I thought to myself, really? Really? I didn't destroy all of them? Yep. I didn't. That was pretty terrible. I gotta say, that was pretty awful. Okay. Anyway, let me see here. Yeah, no, I'm gonna use the scimitar. Someone actually said that the reason why the Cascara may not seem as fun to use is because it has a slightly longer length. And I think that is indeed it. Because it makes it a little bit more unwieldy, it makes it more, shall we say, a little bit more of a precision weapon, rather than just something that you can use in sort of like a general purpose situation, because the scimitar, you can pretty much hit almost anywhere on the blade, and you're probably going to do some decent-ish damage. Whereas the Cascara, because it is longer, you're having to be a bit more careful with your positioning. And that actually did have a pretty, yeah, that is actually a very good analysis, in my opinion at least, of, you know, the differences between the two weapons. Because you see here I'm using the scimitar. I mean, it seems to do damage almost every single time I hit someone. Like, I'm talking about good damage. I'm not talking about, you know, 20 damage or even like 40. No, we're doing significant damage. Whereas the Cascara obviously is a lot more difficult to use, in my opinion. I mean, yeah, sure, it's still an easy to use weapon, but it is a lot more difficult than the scimitar. And that was obviously the main purpose of my, you know, machinations in the previous episode, because I was thinking to myself, yeah, well, what's going on here? Why is this weapon not as good as the thing that I found randomly one time? You know, so yeah, that really makes a big difference. And thank you for your thoughts on it as well. I very much appreciate that, because it's always nice to have a bit of a think tank kind of deal. That's the reason why I always generally tend to like talking about game mechanics as well. The reason why I was talking about the war horses problem, and why I was talking about mods and you know, general mechanical kind of deals with the game, because I actually really like doing that. But if you don't like that, then I apologize. You know, because I think that in general, if we can, you know, make any kind of impact to the future development of the game, then I think that's cool. I think that's a fun idea. Okay, so I'm actually going to die real quick. I'm going to die really, really soon, actually, surprisingly enough. Kind of didn't want to do that, but I guess I could run away. I could literally just run away, but I'm at, what, 5%? I'm not entirely sure if it's even worth me doing that, but yeah, as you can see, we can basically just... Oh. Are you serious? Wait a minute. How did I get killed? 4 damage to the shoulder. Okay. Are my forces literally retreating right now? No, they're doing some random... You see their patterns that they're going in that right now? They're running around really, really strangely right here. Anyway, I'm not entirely sure. How did I get shot all the way out there? You saw where I was standing. I was standing very far away, and yet someone was able to hit me. I guess one of these guys. Right? Must have been one of these guys. I'm going to assume at least. Wow. They really dialed it in, didn't they? Yeah, I was kind of thinking, hey, you know what? I'm probably going to be fine, right? No. That is not the case. No, I literally just got murdered. Oh, well, never mind. Okay, yeah. So we were able to take this, which is obviously fantastic. And this obviously gives me a little bit of a nightmare situation. Again, it gives me a reminder of what happened as well in the previous episode. Because I was thinking to myself, oh yeah, okay, we got to take this back. And hopefully, we'll be able to retain control of it this time. Please. Okay, wait a minute. This is all maxed out, so I actually don't need to do anything with this. We'll get some food. Why not? We'll get some food. And there's just so much loot. I mean, technically, I could sell one Humphrey camel and make more money here. Should I just sell one thing? Let's just sell this thing. There we go. All right. Absolutely perfect. Okay, so we're now done with this, and let's take a look. Okay, so the Sturgians literally only have two more fiefs. That is it. They only have 2 more fiefs. Oh, there is actually an army here. We should probably attack this. Want to make sure that they don't actually do anything particularly useful. Thankfully, they are just about to be taken prisoner. Very nice indeed. I'm not going to be taking any of the prisoners or any of the rescued troops either. I don't really see the point in that. And there we have it. Okay, so let me actually just make my way around. I think that Balgard could definitely use a little bit of something, and I'm talking about a little bit of a conquering. Yes, a little bit of a conquering. And yeah, otherwise, apart from that, if we can actually eliminate the Sturgians, that would be an amazing boon for us, because as you can see, the Aserai are still our greatest opponent, I think. I don't know what Britannia... Oh, actually, never mind. Vlandia is actually insane. They are much stronger than we are. Okay, well, that's a big problem, isn't it? Okay, yeah, they're actually getting another army together as well, so we need to do something about that. Or not, as the case may be, because they just went into the town. Okay, I guess I'm going to be fighting them in the town then. Well, this is going to be interesting. I'm going to be besieging them from the outside, and we're going to see what we can do. So they've got 9 days worth of food. I'm not sure if it's going to take me 9 days to actually destroy the walls. It might. It very much depends, because the enemy is somehow able to stockpile catapult construction quite significantly. So much so, in fact, that they're able to just place these things out there instantly, or at the very least they're able to build them instantly. Maybe that's the case, I don't know, but as you can see, my trebuchets are taking an absolute battering and having problems staying alive, but thankfully it seems as though we are going to be fine here. I'm gonna just build a catapult here. I want to get the catapult out if I can. There we go. And then we're just gonna move this up here, try to make sure that we don't have any issues. Aha! My 0.1% party speed for every skill point above 200 scouting. So why is it 0.1? Why is it 0.1? I guess it's because it's such a... I don't know. No offense, but why is it 0.1? Because that means that I get 1% for every 10 points. So I get 7.5. So I literally have 7.5. Or, well, technically 7.6 now. I suppose that isn't actually that bad. I mean, 7.6 increased, 7.6% increased party speed is actually not too bad, I suppose. So we'll see how that goes. Otherwise, let's lead an assault. Why not? Why not? We actually have Onira under siege right now. I'm going to assume that the Aserai are the ones attempting to take that. It's actually quite funny because Onira has been a town that has been under siege multiple times in the course of the last, I don't even know how many hours, because I've been obviously playing off screen as well. And it seems like people always want to take Onira. I'm going to assume that it is holding some kind of strategic significance in some way or another. this, friends, is exactly the reason why I absolutely loathe the new defensive AI, because any single time they have shields, they're just going to hold these things. They're just going to hold them. And they're not even really going to try to attack. And it's just a case of being at like a training dummy or something. Well, I do need the practice, so why not, you know? I mean, technically I could kick, but in this situation, do you really want to be stationary? That's the question, you know? Because if I kick, look at that. I have how long? 2 seconds, I guess? 2 seconds of stationary movement. I'm not sure if I'd really like to do that with the enormous amount of archers and or thrown weapons that could potentially be coming towards me. Obviously, maybe not in this specific situation, but just think about how it would be in a normal situation right here. I mean, look at that. I kicked this guy. He recovered almost instantaneously. And you can see exactly what's happening here. This is not even directional based. You know, it's not even a case of him literally just making a mistake in his blocking. All he has to do is hold right click, technically. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you've heard my thoughts on the whole, you know, increased defense with the AI, and I just think it's just, I don't know. It just feels artificial now, which is unfortunate, but oh well, never mind. I mean, you can see here, I mean, look at this. What do you want me to do here? Just kick this guy, and then what? Kick him, and then his shield drops for 0.1 seconds, and then he just right-clicks again? That seems to be it. That seems to literally be what he's all about, but yeah, I actually very much appreciate just fighting with these guys right here. This is a lot more fun, actually. Fighting someone that doesn't have a shield is a lot more fun, even if they manage to block 99% of my attacks. At least it's engaging, because it's not just me bashing my head, you know, proverbially, of course, against a shield. You know what I mean? So it's a lot more fun to you know, try your best against someone that actually has an equal shot of attacking you as they do defending, even though they are still way too defensive in my opinion, but that's the point. How are you going to make AI better, you know? How are you going to make AI better unless you make them much more resilient? I don't know. That's the whole point, because otherwise, if you you know, we've got the previous situation, you know, for example, if we think about how it was before the patch, then you think, well, what was it like beforehand? Well, the AI was, well, all intents and purposes, I preferred that AI, but if you think about it from an objective standpoint, well, they were not very good. They were, what is, are you serious right now? There is a person? Okay. What? He's stuck here. Okay, well, not anymore. Not anymore. You just got murdered, sir. Okay, well, that's funny. That would have actually kept my forces completely at a standstill. What is up with these stairs? Look at this. If I just hold W, look at this, okay? I'm just holding W. I can't get up there unless I jump. And then I'm stuck again. And I can't... No offense, but that should not be the case. Unless that is a historical... historical accuracy or something like that. Maybe the... I don't know. Maybe the Sturgians from, I don't know, 1600 decided that they were going to make their stairs uneven. Because they thought, oh yes, that will definitely unsettle any possible attacker, because then they have to press spacebar to jump. If you'll forgive the cynicism. Ah, dearie me. Alright, well, yes, there you go. Okay, so, yeah, I have no idea whether that is actually a thing that they used to do on purpose, because let's face it, there were a number of different ways and means that people in the medieval times used to create very specific situations to make it easier to defend a certain point. And, well, there's something as outlandish as building walls on the outside of your settlement. Can you imagine how amazing that would be to see? I just can't even imagine it. Such a rarity to see walls outside a castle and or town. Really quite insane. And using troops on a battlefield, oh, that is the most crazy idea that I've ever heard. Can you tell? I'm obviously I'm obviously joking. I am obviously joking. But yeah, anyway, we only have one fief to go, which is actually quite hilarious. 758 troops available here. Oh, what a pain. What a huge pain this is going to be. Okay, ransom offer for this. Sure, I don't actually mind about that anymore because we're about to actually defeat them. So even if I were to execute or anything like that, it wouldn't really make any difference. At least I think so. And we're making peace with some people as well. Yeah, the Sturgians want a peace agreement. I'm not actually going to be doing that anytime soon. I'm going to be moving these things into... Oh, actually, you know what? I shouldn't have moved them into the reserve. I should have just left them out there. That was a grievous error on my part. Oh dear, yes. And now I'm reminded of General Grievous. Whenever I say grievous error, I'm always reminded of General Grievous because he's always like, ah, Kenobi. And then, you know, Kenobi just goes, hello there. You know, hello there. And so on and so forth, you know. You know how he goes. Anyway, hopefully we will be able to get the other section of wall down. This is the final fief, of course. You are the final fief. Goodbye. Do you get that reference? Do you get that reference? I don't know. That's a long, long time ago. It was from The Weakest Link. The Weakest Link used to be a quiz show on UK TV. Obviously, it did go over to America, I believe, at some point. I think they did like an expansion show over there. And yeah, you know, the host used to say, "You are the weakest link. Goodbye." And you know, all that. But yeah, it's a long time ago. I have no idea why I thought of that, but yeah, there you go. That's that's a very, very long time that I have since seen that. I didn't even keep up with it for more than I don't know, a few episodes, but there you go. There's a reference and a half for you. I mean, technically we do have quite a few references in my series, but you know, some of them just go completely over my own head even because I can't remember where some of them are from. So it's great, isn't it? Anyway, we are absolutely murdering every single person in here. And I can't even get close to the opponent, unfortunately. Oh, now I can. Hello there. Okay, I've made my way in. This is maybe not the best idea. Hello, sir. Do you mind? Yes, there we are. Okay, yeah, he does mind, actually. He seems to mind a great deal because he's being very resilient. Get him. Get him. There we are. We got him. Very nice. Okay, the one thing that we can do, though, is we can try to stop them from retreating if I can just eliminate these guys, though. But these are obviously the training dummies, you see? These are the training dummies. They're gonna have the wondrous effect of shields. I mean, you can see here, look at this. I kicked one, and that, I mean, literally, look at this, okay? I kick, and even if I hit one, it doesn't do anything because there are so many people that I am literally just going to have to keep swinging. I think that's actually all I can do at this point. I'm just going to have to keep swinging and just hope that I do alright like that. And I'm just going to try to... Oh, I guess I could... I have strong legs now, don't I? Oh, yes! Fantastic! I love strong legs. That is... Yeah, as I say, that is usually one of my favorite perks ever. Just purely because it actually prevents me from dying from fall damage. And I love that. Anyway, we're just gonna let everything else run and, you know, see what happens. They're most likely gonna escape. Yeah, whoa, 125 of them actually retreated. I can't believe that. That's actually quite funny. Alright, there you go. We are able to take them prisoner, but I'm actually gonna let some of them go. Should I even bother? There is really no point in me letting them go, to be honest, because... they're just gonna join other factions, aren't they? They're probably just gonna join other factions, maybe. It very much depends. But there you go, we've done it, and now we can make peace with them. I don't think they actually own anything, do they? If they own a fief now, I will be kicking myself. Do you own a fief, Sturgeons? Do you own a fief? I don't think they do. No, they do not. Alright, that's absolutely fantastic. That is wonderful. But the Aserai are now actually starting to creep in at Amprila. I'm not a big fan of that, I gotta say. Anyway, I'm actually going to disband my army right now. I'm going to let these guys go off and do whatever they want to do. The owner of Takor Castle will probably be Zamina. We've given way too many to Undgar as it is right now. So we're just going to leave him to stew with his wonderful gains that he's had here. And otherwise, we are now only at war against the Aserai. Yeah, so they took Lycaron. That is actually kind of interesting. I'd like to take that if at all possible. I think that would be extremely useful for us, because that's going to connect Amprila, Gauss Castle, Melion Castle, and so on and so forth. I actually took Melion Castle from the Northern Empire, and then it was taken by the Western Empire, and then the Aserai took it, I think. Or I took it back and then they took it? I actually can't remember, but whatever the case, there was a lot of a lot of action surrounding that particular area. Anyway, let's just level up all of these troops. I actually should have been leveling troops the entire time, but, well, I'm kind of at the moment just thinking, well, what's the point if I don't have any war mounts, right? Speaking of war mounts, let me go over here and actually see whether they have any. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. They have... Oh, they've got 15 war mounts. I am... What? What? That is absolutely insane. Okay. Really pleased. Really pleased about that. Okay, what about Varnovopol? Maybe there's going to be, you know, a couple of war mounts in here. Maybe they'll have a significant... They have 37 noble mounts. Does that count? Does that count as a war mount? I don't think so, right? This is actually where all my loot went, by the way. Do you notice? Do you notice that this is literally my loot? I'm pretty sure. I mean, literally, look at this. They have 371 saddles, 239 saddles. I'm pretty sure this is my loot that I had beforehand. Because you could see all of the weapons as well. There are so many weapons available here. And there's actually a War Razor available as well. I actually really like the War Razor. I think it's a really, really fun weapon. I actually used to use that back in the day, and I thought it was really good. So I'm actually going to spend a lot of money on this, at least for the moment, and let's just trade some Humphreys for it. Sounds good to me. There we go. I'm not sure whether they are allowed to be used as upgrade potential. I think they are. Maybe? Are they? No. Are you serious that they're not actually allowed to be used? Okay, that also needs to change in my opinion. I feel like you should be able to, you know, enable a setting or something like that that allows you to use noble mounts as war mounts. I think that would probably be really useful because noble mounts seem to be a little bit more easy to acquire than the war mounts, which is somewhat weird. Anyway, there it is. We've got our wonderful empire, our domain. Huh. Sturgy actually does have some fiefs. They're only paying me 1,100. They got me. They baited me. They baited me into a peace agreement. I thought to myself I was completely done with them, and now no, they've got just two little fiefs. They've just got two little fiefs in the corner there. Well, I don't suppose that's going to be particularly dangerous, but you never know. Oh dear. Anyway, that's going to be it for this episode. I thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.